Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's Nate here with 7 Run Aquatics. It is about 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. Probably going to post this on Thursday for the Fishroom update day. But was going to do some water changes and some maintenance, and also just take you guys around real quick and show you what's going on with the Fishroom. As you can see, there's a little new something right there behind me, and we'll kind of see where it takes us. So let's get started. Alright, so we're here standing behind my RO unit, and I don't really know if I've actually put a video out on my water situation. So before we do the water changes and I show you how I do all of that, I figure I'll show you kind of what's going on as far as the water I use, what I use to buffer my RO water, and how I test it and stuff like that to make sure that the pH is where I want it to be and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, and we are looking at my, got the shadow in the way, my 37 to 40 gallon trash can where I store my RO water. So if we look up here on my RO unit, we've got the blue line which goes from here, wraps all the way around, comes into what would be my deionization unit. I'm gonna be putting something in here for the deionizer eventually to further clean my water, because I do have well water and not particularly good for fish. I mean, I can keep fish in it, and I did for a long time, but didn't really like the stuff that was in it. I think I was pretty high in iron and stuff. But it does have a TDS meter. This is a bulk reef supply 5-stage unit, and just the RO portion has been doing really well for me. So once we come out of the deionization unit, we follow the blue line down into the bucket where I have a lid on to prevent debris from going into. And then we have my water, which I have a float valve here that prevents my bucket from overfilling. Which is really nice because I don't have to worry about turning my water off or, having accidents happen. But this fills it up to about 36 gallons of water, which sometimes, depending on how accurate I am with my water changes, is enough, and other times I have to wait for it to fill up a little bit more. You'd be surprised how much like a brute 55-gallon trash can costs. And I am balling on a budget here. But we also have an Aquamag pump in there with about 12 feet of 3/4 inch tubing attached to it. A little sponge that goes on to the Aquamag fell off, it looks like. But that just, I leave that on all the time. It keeps it circulating to keep the water from going stagnant. And then I do have a heater down there. It's funny enough, it's actually a 100-watt heater. Which I don't think would be enough to heat this properly, but it's kind of on the fritz, so it actually just keeps heating pretty much all the time. But with this volume of water and with the ambient air temperature down here, it actually heats it up to about 77 degrees, just perfect. Now, as far as what I use to buffer my water, I use this product called Carbonate by Seachem. It's an Aquavitro product. It's like one of their new lines of products, and that just adds KH and minerals back to the water. It says it's for plants. Anything for plants is going to be good for your tank, really, except for, obviously high nitrates and stuff. I've got super DKH buffer for my saltwater tank, which I'm honestly thinking of getting rid of. But then I just got a little Dr. Meter pH meter that I use to evaluate the pH. My RO, I guess just because of the virtue of what my water chemistry is coming out of the well, it should be, shake it around, normally goes down to about 4.3. I think I still have a little buffer left over in there, but we're looking at about 4.7 to 4.6 right now. I'll probably buffer it up to about 5.5. That's what I normally do. I was buffering it to about 6.5. But the more research I did, the more I found out that the lower pH you can get, the more pistos will like it. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of the Seachem carbonate to this to get the pH up, and we'll check back in when we're doing some water changes probably. Okay, so one more thing before we get too involved in the water change process here. The one thing I forgot to show you with my water situation to my left over here was my TDS meter. I've got this really cheap off of Amazon. Comes with a nice little case, and it looks like this. I think I got it for like $4 or $5, and it was like free shipping too. I got one originally and it didn't work, but this one does. It's calibrated for temperature as well, so that's good. And the water coming out of my RO, generally speaking, I think I need to replace my membrane, but it comes out around 10 TDS, which is fine for me. I'm not like too big of a heckler or whatever for, you know, super low TDS. Most people want their TDS when they have RO coming out at 0 to 3. And really, you know, my tap water, the TDS comes out at like 250 or 300, so it's super high, and the fact that it's coming out at 10 is just fantastic. So yeah, just wanted to recommend getting one of these, especially if you keep pistos. TDS is an important parameter that you guys should be checking. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with water changes. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is go back with my wires behind my messy rack here. And I have 2 power strips. I'm going to flip those off. Those are my heaters and the power filters that I do have. I leave the air filtration running, obviously. Tripping over stuff here. But I have my Python. I am fortunate enough to have a well right next to my basement, or right next to the rack. So I just run all the water into there. A sump pump drains it out that pipe. It goes under the sunroom, and then it spreads out through a PVC system into a garden. So we are utilizing the fish water for other purposes. So let's follow over here. There's my notes for the Pisto of the week. And I'm going to show you something that I learned when I started working in the fish industry here. So if you're tired of sucking on the end of your Python or your water change tube, whatever you're using to siphon water, if you have a siphon like this, there's a leaf in there, but if you have one like that, if you're tired of sucking on the end to get water coming out, all you have to do, dip it in the tank, as so. Make sure you get the whole thing full, and then push it up so you get a little water flowing, and then dip it back down so you get bubbles that pull air through the tube, and that'll start your suction off. So if we leave that there for a second, we can come back over here, and my shadow's in the way because my light here isn't that great, but it's draining. So great little tip if you're tired of getting your mouth on the dirty fish tube. But I'll probably cut here in a minute, just because I don't think you guys want to see me changing all my water. But you know, I just try to go around. I don't really get a lot of the detritus and stuff like that. If anything, it provides more surface area for bacteria to grow on. Some people are kind of sticklers about that, but I'm not. I generally just get the front here and drain the water, because the water is really where you want to get, you know, your nitrates out and any excess nutrients. So we're going to go ahead and cut here. If I discover anything, or I realize that I do anything that you guys might want to see, we'll chime back in. So I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Okay guys, I just wanted to chime back in super quick before we get into anything different on that little trick that I showed you on how to not have to put your mouth on the end of the tube to get suction going, because I don't think it was very clear. So what you're going to do is, like I said, you're going to fill the entire tube up with water, get all the bubbles out. Okay, and this is going to happen quick, so you might have to watch it a couple times. But you're going to lift the tube. Once the water starts flowing down, you want to gently tilt the tube back into the water so you get air bubbles that are being sucked backwards into the tube. The air bubbles moving back into the tube is going to create suction, which is going to help pull the water through the tube to wherever it's supposed to go. So here we go. We're going to pull it up. And this is a low tank, so I got to hold it up kind of high. Okay, it's starting to drain. We got the bubbles going. And we've got suction. You can see the bubbles moving down. Okay, we'll check back in a minute. Alrighty, so while I'm letting that tank that I just showed you drain, figured out to update you guys. We got some more angelfish eggs. It looks like they're wiggling around in there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see them very well or not. But they are wigglers. I have the air turned off right now because it's attached to the same power strip as some of my heaters. Just because this 1 gallon jar that I use to hatch the angels, I don't even know, I lost my train of thought there. The the 1 gallon jar that I use for my angels, I don't have that out and like going all the time, so I don't really need like a plug, you know, for the air pump that runs this like 24/7. As for heat for this thing, I just have a space here behind it, and the way I have it angled, I've got it down to a pretty good science now, that it keeps it at about 77, 78 degrees, maybe 79. I try to avoid any higher or lower temperatures than that. But yeah, so it looks like my tank down there is getting kind of where I want it to be, and we'll check back in again in just a minute. Okay guys, so just really quick, we're back, and I'm showing you my tube on my water changer. But I finally got this 10 gallon down here that you guys have probably been seeing for a while cycled, and if we can get them in the picture enough, there's an Epistogramma ortegi down there. Probably one of the most aggressive Epistos there is, but they're by far one of the most beautiful Epistos I've ever seen in my life. But you're not going to be able to see that right now because he's hiding under my sponge filter because I'm cleaning his water. And he's probably not too happy that I'm in here. And he's new. He's only been in here for about 3 days. So, yeah, that's new. Probably going to do an Episto of the week on him coming up soon. So be on the lookout for that. Epistogramma ortegi are really, really cool fish. And I'm excited at the prospect of breeding these guys. I only have a male right now, but the female is at work. She's in a quarantine tank getting ready to come home probably this weekend. And I may or may not do a video on when I get them both in the same tank together. But we'll see how it goes, and I'll check back in probably when we're done with the water changes here. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I lied. One more quick thing. Don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but I'm glad I finally did think of it. For a long time I was using this black hose for my water changes and trying to drag it all the way across to my other tanks, probably about 10 feet away. And it worked and it was good, but it was kind of stretching the tube. And sometimes my pump would come out of the water and stuff like that. So what I've done is I just took the cap off the end of the tube here, and you can see that I've just attached my Python to it. I took off the end cap, and this is fantastic. I mean, the Python tubing is really really flexible, easy to move around. So if you have a water pump or similar situation a similar situation as me, you can attach your Python to your pump tubing, and it makes water changing a lot easier, especially if you have to carry it a long distance. Alright, we'll check back in a minute. Alrighty guys, since we are waiting on tanks to fill, I figured we'd just go and look at my quote-unquote show tank that I'm having some plant troubles with at the moment. My green Cambamba that I had a huge wall of over there, made it look really good, just suddenly decided to crap out on me. So I'm debating on what background plant to get next, and I really need to reseal this tank, which I'm dreading, and I think I've been saying that in past videos. But if I go in here and just look, you can just see that that silicone is terrible. I mean, I got this tank used from my cousin, and it had previously been my uncle's, way back in the 90s. I think this tank was manufactured in 1992, which is the year I was born. So, needless to say, this thing's pretty old. And I really want to rescape it. When I started this, I wasn't as big into aquariums as I am now, and you know, some of the aquascaping concepts that I've learned over the past couple of years, I really want to put into play. I'd really, since this is a tall tank, like to build up the back, you know, 6 inches, 7 inches, I don't know, and add some really cool like root work, make it look like trees are coming down into the water column. Kind of source out some fish, give some of them away to people, because right now I've got some larger fish in here. You know, the angels are obviously the biggest thing in this tank, but the platies are fairly large. I do have the red tail shark in there, and you know, the Pistogramma palmulari, which there's one right there. Really want to get this tank into tip-top shape. I mean, if this is going to be a show tank, I really want to go, you know, balls to the wall, all out with it. And right now, I'm just not doing that. And honestly, I'm thinking of taking this canister, or not the canister filter, the hang on the back, and taking that up on my 30-gallon room tank, and then just keeping the canister going. Right now, I've got this thing stocked to the max, so I don't know how that would affect my biological filtration, but you know, I guess all in due time we'll see. But I'll be sure to catalog it and make videos about the reconstruction of this tank, pretty much. But I've got water fillings still in there, and we'll check back in with you in another minute or two. Alrighty, y'all, and we are back. So as you can see, we are done. Water change day. I was a little bit short on water getting the McMasterite tank filled, but it'll only take a couple hours to get enough water to throw back into there. So I'm not too worried about it. As long as the filtration is still able to run, everything's still good. But I got a drink in my hand. Take a sip just there. And now it's time to sit back, let everything settle, and watch the fish, which is what all of this is all about anyway. So with that said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I'm Nate with 7 Run Aquatics. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment if you liked it, and if you have any suggestions or pertinent comments to the video, any questions about Apistos, I am always here. I'm more than happy to help with any of your questions if I'm able to. And of course, share and subscribe to my channel for more great content like this in the future. So we'll see you guys later.